Naruto as a series possesses a lot of themes that shake us to our core. Why are we affected by what we see in Naruto? Well, I think it's because what we see in Naruto is what we see in our everyday lives. The concepts of loneliness, of hatred, of constant back and forth, tit for tat, it's no secret that the world today is more divided than it's ever been. And these things cause people to feel scared, alone, sad, and angry. People relate to the Naruto series because the Naruto series, while full of fantastical abilities and wonderful animation, most of the time, also comes across as well written because it deals with real world problems. I'm not talking on a geopolitical level, though that does exist, but more on a personal level. It starts with what's personal. Things that affect one person, that affect a small group, a small town, a city. It deals with issues on a local level that we see every day. I'll bet you that almost every single one of you has found a way to relate to the series in your own life, whether you knew a Naruto, whether you were a Naruto. Maybe you were Sasuke, or Rock Lee. Maybe there were things that people told you that you could never do. Maybe you didn't have many friends. Maybe you didn't have anyone at home waiting for you. And that is the tragedy behind Naruto, behind life as a whole, and that's why Naruto is wonderful. It's a parable to our lives. At the end of the day, we need to ask ourselves the important questions. Which character in this series did we play today, and who do we want to be? Were you living your life as Sasuke, seeking vengeance for something someone did to you? Were you Neji, looking down on others because they didn't have the same talents as you? Or were you Yahiko? Did you sacrifice everything you could for your friends to do a good deed? Were you Kakashi, someone who had so much and lost everything? Or how about Naruto? Were you bullied and left feeling uncared for? Sometimes a simple hello and smile are enough to brighten someone's day. This is a challenge for every Naruto fan, a challenge for every viewer. Be kind, be loving, be the hand that reaches out. I know I've been going on for so long about this, but I find it important that each of us, as Madara says, wake up to reality and see the pain in the world. We don't want to look at it, but we need to. Because when we see the pain in the world, only then can we work to fix it. Naruto has known pain, and he never knew friendship growing up, which is why today I plan to fix things. I'm going to take a simple girl who, despite being considered useless by many, can make a difference if she sets her mind to it. Please join me in another story, in one more of an infinite number of Tsukiyomi worlds as I weave a tale for you. A tale of loneliness and the person who decided to do something about it. Welcome to the Amagi. Before we begin, we publish a new video every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. Dear Diary, today was the same as it always is. I woke up alone today. I went to school alone. I sat alone. I ate alone. I spent time alone on the swing set. I came home alone to an empty house where I ate alone. I'm now writing this, and as I write it, I'm alone. It's the same as yesterday and the day before and the day before that. And it'll be the same tomorrow and the day after. I look back through all the pages and realize that it has always been this way and will always be this way. I have nothing to write about, so I wonder why Mr. Hiruzen gave me this journal at all. I don't think anyone's ever going to read this and care. My life isn't interesting, and nobody's gonna want to read something like this. I certainly don't want to write it. It was supposed to make me happy and help me count my blessings, but I have none, so all it's doing is making me upset. So until things change and my life gets better in any way, shape, or form, I'm not gonna write in this again. I'll see you when things change for the better. That is to say, I'll never see you again. Whatever regards I'm supposed to attach to a crappy entry like this, Naruto. He threw his pen down on the table. He looked down at the journal. It was a nice leather-bound one. Such a nice cover to protect all the treasured memories. If only I had one. He closed it and put it into a drawer on his nightstand and sat down on the bed. His bedroom light was the only thing on in the entire apartment, and that darkness echoed into his bedroom like a fog of tentacles. He closed his door to ward off the creepy feelings that he got that perhaps he wasn't as alone as he thought. Turning to the window, he looked outside at the moon sitting across the black canvas that they called the sky. Speckled through the darkness of the universe were tiny little lights called stars. Stars were generally used as an analogy of how we had to look for the little things in life if we wanted to look past the darkness inside of ourselves, surrounding us, but there were no stars. Not for Naruto. He lay back down in bed and stared at the ceiling. He wondered what it was that he had done to deserve this. Why did God hate him so badly that he put him in a place like this? Why did people hate him so much? Had he somehow offended them? Was this perhaps some penance for a sin committed by his father? He fought it hard, but he couldn't help it. A tear rolled down his cheek. Today was just a bad day, he told himself. You're not really that depressed, you're just in a bad mood, he thought. But then again, was it normal to be in a bad mood all the time? He had thought that maybe if he were a shinobi, the world might treat him differently. Perhaps they might treat him with respect, but that was if he could become one at all. He had failed so many times, and no doubt would he fail again. Naruto was a dud. He had rolled the cosmic dice and had basically ended up with low-level stats and a useless starting class. And following the RPG line of thinking, he was now currently unable to gain EXP to increase his stats and upgrade class because he was attempting to play single player in an MMORPG. He shook his head. My luck's gotta turn around at some point. He wiped his eye. Tomorrow will be better, he said with a smile. No, it wasn't. It was raining. As if somehow he wasn't tortured enough, it was now raining. And as he attempted to open his umbrella, the whole thing malfunctioned and tore a hole through the protective fabric. He trashed it. Useless umbrella. Worst $3 I ever spent. He walked through the pelting rain, the cold wind blowing, causing him to shiver. He walked to school the same way as always. He passed through the streets, the mud caking up on his shoes. He looked down and realized just how much he hated having to wear open-toed boots on days like this. It was gonna be such a pain to clean when he got home. He eventually made it to school and entered. Class had yet to start. He made his way up to the seat where he always sat and got off his feet. The other kids were rowdy today, playing rough. Naruto just sorta ignored it. He would be hit by a spitball every so often, but he barely paid it any mind. Today looked like it might be a better day, so long as he was left alone. And to his relief, the school bully didn't seem to come to his desk today. No stolen lunch money this time, it seemed. He sat there silently as Irika walked into the room. Roll call began as the students took their seats. Naruto couldn't help but look out the window. When his name was called, he responded silently with a raised hand, his gaze never turning from the deluge outside. It gave everything a slight black and white tint. As class continued, he couldn't help but think about things. About the parents that came to pick up their kids from school, the little posses of children that would run off to the center of the village for lunch or to play games. Naruto had never had that. His days were spent here and at home, very few places between. It was then that he heard a sound. Naruto! He looked back to see Irika standing there, tapping his foot. Huh? The class giggled. Not paying attention again, Naruto? Naruto looked around. I was paying attention. Irika nodded. Uh-huh. Well then why don't you come down here and solve this equation for the class? Irika displayed a math equation on the blackboard. It was asking what the square root of 85 was. Naruto reluctantly stood and began walking down there. He was never that good at math, and he knew he was just going to make a fool of himself. Technically, he was wrong though. He would not make a fool of himself. Butch, the class bully, would do that for him. As Naruto stepped down the stairs, Butch stuck his foot out, hooking Naruto's right ankle, causing Naruto to stumble and fall face first into the corner of a desk before finishing rolling down the stairs. Irika saw this and stuck out his hand, coming a little closer. Naruto, are you alright? He asked, attempting to help the boy stand. Naruto's nose was pouring blood. He looked at the crimson liquid on his hand as the class murmured. They were split between laughing and groaning in disgust. All except Sakura, who neither laughed nor groaned. Instead, she watched with quiet concern. Naruto looked at the blood on his hand, smelling the distinct scent of iron. As he heard the people laughing at him, the embarrassment he felt welled up within and broke free in a steady stream of tears. Look, he's crying, someone in the class shouted. Irika looked up as to find who said that, but then turned his attention back to Naruto. I think you should go see the nurse, Naruto. You're excused. He led Naruto to the door and watched him make his way to the nurse's office. He would be checked out and properly bandaged. As it turned out, he had broken his nose pretty badly when he smashed it against the corner of that desk, but of course Naruto could tell that the moment he hit his face. If anything, he believed he might also have had a couple hairline fractures in his face in general, but it was what it was, and the nurse helped get his nose properly set and stabilized. Naruto would just wait in the office for a while, not sure that he wanted to go back to class at all. The nurse let him stay until the end of that class, but afterward she pushed him back out into the halls. It was time for the next class, and Naruto was nervous about going. That was when he noticed the bully coming his way. Please, no, Naruto thought as he saw him coming. The bully stepped up in front of him and started speaking. I just wanted to talk about earlier and what happened. Naruto was cautious, but a part of him hoped that maybe Butch was going to apologize. The boy looked down and away. He then looked back at Naruto. I came to realize that I didn't charge you your geek tax today. Naruto was confused. The bully put his hand out. Fork over the lunch money, twerp. Naruto's shoulders dropped. Come on, Butch, can't you cut me a little slack today? Butch looked around. You know, I'd love to. I really would. But then if I did, I'd have to cut everyone slack, and that wouldn't set a very good precedent. So cash me, or I'm gonna have to break your nose a second time. Naruto just wasn't in the mood for this. He pulled the lunch money out with a sigh and handed it over. The bully counted it. You're short, he said. Naruto looked up at him. What? But that's all $5. The bully laughed. No, I don't mean your lunch money. I mean your stature. Maybe you should bring $10 tomorrow so you actually get to eat. Then maybe you wouldn't be a stunted little freak all your life. The bully left. Naruto proceeded to his next class where nobody really talked to him. The teacher saw he had a hard day, so they didn't call on him again, likely as a personal favor to Irika. Naruto wasn't talked to at all. He was talked about a lot, but talked to? Not at all. Lunch rolled around and Naruto found himself sitting in a corner all by himself. He didn't have anything to eat and his stomach was rumbling, but it wasn't like food was free. Maybe in some other villages, but here in Konoha you had to pay to eat during lunch. Either that or bring your own meal. And on days that he brought his own, Butch would just take that instead as collateral for not bringing $5. It was the same now as it was before and always would be, so he sat there in agonizing hunger, listening to the conversations being held about him, watching the others eat while he had nothing. He decided to at least try and get some of his homework knocked out for the day so that when he got home he'd have more free time. The issue was, he sucked and there was nobody around to tutor him. He couldn't go to his parents for help, couldn't go to other students, and there were no real trusted adults who would listen to him, so he was left trying to figure it out himself. No matter how hard he worked, even if he stayed up all night studying, he still could barely pass any classes, and that left him looking like an idiot to everyone. But eventually lunch came to an end and Naruto started packing things back into his backpack. As he did so, another of the class bullies walked past, knocking everything Naruto hadn't already packed up onto the floor where it was then trampled upon by students leaving the cafeteria. He could only watch in stunned silence as his hard work was wasted. Naruto was just shocked by it. He could hardly process it. Part of him wanted to scream in rage, and another wanted to cry, but the final part of him just told him to let it go. To always let it go. Don't draw attention to yourself, just let it go. Naruto picked up the dirty, muddied paper and could see that it was still mostly legible, so he loaded it all up into his backpack and made his way out. He attended a few more classes, and then came the end of the day. He was then allowed to leave. He stepped outside to see that it was still raining. He trudged home through the mud. He looked into the various stores to see the owners looking back at him. Some would shoo him off, others would close their doors as a sign that he wasn't welcome, and a few would just do nothing, but their gazes told him everything he needed to know. He made his way home and tried his best to wipe his shoes. He checked his pockets for his key and couldn't find it. He must have lost it when he fell down the stairs. He sighed again and then checked under the mat for a spare. He would open the door and step inside, making his way to the bathroom where he would cast his shoes off and attempt to clean off the dark, itchy mud. It took him about 5 minutes to get completely rid of the dark brown hue. Drying his feet, he would make himself a bowl of ramen and eat it. There was no sound in the apartment other than the sound of pelting rain falling on the window. The inside of his home was colored a shade of blue from the rain outside. Finishing his meal, he prepared for a shower. After taking one, he walked to his bedroom. Today was another day down. He walked to the calendar and put a large X through the date, October 10th. He put the marker down and just looked at the calendar. His lip quivered a little as he bit it. He walked back to bed and pulled out the journal. He flipped through it, looking at all the entries he made about being bullied, tortured by classmates, and neglected by everyone in the village. On the page after the last, it was blank. He took out a pen and wrote down, "Happy birthday." He then closed the book and curled up under his sheets for the night. He knew he should probably do his homework, but who gave a shit anymore? The next day, Sakura sat in Irika's class. Roll call was largely the same, but when Naruto's name was called, there was no answer. It was called a second time. Still no answer. Irika peeked up to see that Naruto was not there. He looked around. "Has anyone seen Naruto today?" There was a murmur as the children shook their heads. Irika clicked his tongue with a hiss and a sigh. Absent. The day went on as normal, and Sakura could only wonder why Naruto wasn't there. Perhaps he wasn't there for a reason. It's not like anyone could call in for him if he caught a cold from yesterday. It was clear, though, that Irika was slightly worried. His mood had darkened noticeably for the rest of the day. This wasn't the first time Naruto had been absent, and every other time this had happened, Irika's reaction was the same. As the day came to an end, Irika was gathering papers. Sakura walked up to him. He looked back. "Oh, hello, Sakura. What can I do for you?" She stood there. I was just wondering if you were gonna send Naruto his homework. Iruka nodded. Indeed, I was gonna drop it off at his home. Sakura stood there silently for a moment. I can take it if you want. Iruka looked back at her. You'll take it? He asked. He shrugged as if to say it was alright with him. Do you even know where he lives though? He asked. Sakura thought about it. Truthfully, she didn't. She shook her head. Iruka would write the address down on a slip of paper and give it to her. I am entrusting this task to you. Have a good evening, Miss Haruno. Sakura would take the papers and make her way out. She stood in the sunlight. The rain had finally stopped and everything was drying off. The plants were still covered in little droplets of water. So far, it had been a mild fall, but it was said that temperatures would fall drastically tonight, causing a freeze. And with all of this water on the ground, surely ice would form and likely kill off most of the vegetation for the year. But until then, Sakura was just happy to feel the sunshine on her skin. She raced happily through the streets. As she did so, store owners and shopkeepers would all wave to her. Good afternoon, Sakura, they would call out as she would wave back to them. They were all such kind souls. She looked at the slip of paper and noted the address on it and the location. It was a good thing that she knew her way around, or the back streets that she would have to travel down might see her lost. She ran on until she made it to the location on the sheet of paper. She looked up at the door and knocked on it. There was no answer. Sakura waited patiently. She knocked again. Eventually, the sound of a lock being turned could be heard. The door opened slightly and a single eye could be seen from within. She smiled brightly. With half of Naruto's face visible behind the door frame, he stared at her stoically. What is it? He asked. Iruka-sensei's tasked me with bringing you your homework. Naruto looked down and saw the papers in her hands. He looked back up at her. Thanks. She looked around. You know, they say it's rude to leave a pretty girl outside. Naruto scoffed. Too bad there's not a pretty girl here. A vein in Sakura's brow popped, though she maintained her smile. Funny. She opened her eyes, which had previously been squinted to brighten her toothy grin. So, I just wanted to, His eye kept fixated on hers. I just wanted to see if you're alright. Iruka-sensei seemed pretty worried about you. I'm fine, Naruto said simply. Sakura cocked her head to the side. Are you? His stare turned into the roll of an eye as the door closed. She was a little confused by this. Did he really just shut the door in my face? She asked herself. She almost turned around to leave when she heard a chain being undone. Suddenly, the door was opened completely as Naruto motioned her in. She stepped inside. Naruto looked down at the floor. Thanks for wiping your feet, he said sarcastically. Sakura looked down. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'll clean it up, I promise. Naruto closed the door and waved it off. Forget it. Doesn't matter. He walked in and poured himself some tea. You want a cup? He asked her. She smiled and responded energetically. Yes. She sat down by the table. So, why weren't you at school today? Were you feeling sick? Naruto was silent as he poured a cup of tea. He sat it down on the table. Something like that. He sat down by the table and watched her drink. He looked like he had either just woken up or was tired and about to go to sleep. She sat there with an awkward smile on her face. Naruto took a long blink, beginning to speak before he opened his eyes again. Did you come here for something? Sakura's eyes lit up with understanding. Oh, I brought you this. She pulled a small stack of papers clipped together out of her backpack. She held it out to him. Naruto reached over and took the papers. Sakura's eyes widened a little when she noticed a plethora of scars running across Naruto's wrists. His grip on the paper tightened a little as she looked. Is something the matter? Naruto asked as he looked at her, dead in the eyes. She looked up at him and realized her death grip on the paper. She smiled again and shook her head. No, nothing's wrong. She relinquished the papers for him. Naruto looked them over. Damn it, he said as he looked at them. What is it? She asked. Naruto put the papers down on the table. Iruka loaded me down with more freaking math. Naruto stood with his cup of tea and shook his head. Doesn't freaking matter. Sakura looked at it. Why not? She asked. He looked back. I suck at math and I don't have anyone to tutor me. I'm gonna flunk. Again. Why do I even keep going to school? Sakura looked at it. You don't understand this? No. She looked the papers over again. This is easy stuff. Naruto then scoffed. Maybe for you. You're an egghead. She looked up. How did you know? Naruto looked back. Because there's no other explanation for that massive forehead. Gotta be covering brain or something. She bit her tongue. She then looked down at the work again. She laid the papers out and opened her own backpack and began pulling things out. Naruto looked back. Hey, wait, what do you think you're doing? She looked up. I'm taking out my homework too. What for? Naruto demanded. She looked up at him. Gotta have someone with a brain teach you. If not, then what's my stupid forehead even for? She pulled out her pencils and sat them down. She began to go through her problems. She looked up at Naruto. Sit down and pick up a pencil, Naruto. I'm gonna tutor you. What? She looked up at him. Did I stutter? I'm going to help you pass math class. Now sit down. Naruto reluctantly sat down. Together they worked on his math for quite some time. She taught him some tips and tricks to make the questions easier and better ways to solve them. She even went so far as to write him up a couple of tests just to see if he had actually picked anything up. She had him answer them. When he was done, he passed them over to her. He sat in silence as she checked them over. She would eventually peek over the top. You only missed one. Naruto seemed a little shocked by that. Really? Which one? She pointed to it. You put the decimal on the wrong side of the 2. He looked at it. She then pushed the paper over to him with a big A+ drawn on it and circled. Huh, surprising, he said. She looked down. See, you can figure it out. You just need a little help. You're smarter than you give yourself credit for. Naruto looked the page over. Sakura stood, loaded up her backpack, and made her way to the door, grabbing her coat and slipping into her shoes. All you need to do is remember that little trick I taught you and you'll ace the test, I promise. He looked up to her. You really think so? She nodded. I know so. She opened the door. I left my cell phone number on your fridge. If you have any more questions, feel free to give me a ring. Just don't call me anytime after 11 p.m. unless it's an emergency, okay? He nodded. She stepped out. He then called out to her. Hey, Sakura? She peeked her head back in. Yeah? Naruto let off a slight smile. Thanks. She smiled. Don't mention it. There's plenty more tutoring where that came from. She then left his house. Naruto would begin to prepare for bed. He would sit there in his pajamas and look at the nightstand. He would open the drawer and take out his journal. Dear Diary, something really strange happened today. The next day, Naruto got up and took a shower. He would brush his teeth and get otherwise ready for school. He would then grab something to eat and make his way to the door. He would lock his apartment and this time put the key into a zippered pocket on his pants to ensure it didn't get lost again. As he locked the door, he looked up and sighed. Another day in hell, he whispered to himself. He made his way downstairs and came out the front office where he found Sakura waiting for him. He looked around as he finished zipping up his coat. You waiting for someone? He asked. She nodded with a smile. Yeah, you. Me, he asked, pointing to himself. Sakura nodded. Of course, you. Naruto's face showed how truly new this was to him. He thought it felt strange, but all the same, he was open to it. Together, they walked to school. They talked about their night. Honestly, there wasn't much to note. After their time studying, they both basically only had enough time to clean up, eat, and go to bed. But Sakura did mention that she had a dream where she was riding a giraffe, which she thought was funny. Naruto actually couldn't remember what he dreamed about and assumed it must have not been that important. Sakura rebuked this though, telling Naruto that sometimes the dreams we had could tell us more about ourselves and what we wanted. She said it's wonderful to have and share them with friends. Naruto shrugged. It's not like I can control it. She thought about it. There are techniques that can help. I've heard that you can change when and what you eat to help and have a more strict bedtime and have something lavender scented in your room. I've also heard that roses help you dream as well because they're supposed to help you relax or something. Naruto shrugged. I don't really think that's important. Nonsense, she said. Dreams can help bring the real you into reality. They walked together to the academy where they ended up finding their seats in class. Sakura always had her predetermined spot, as did Naruto. After roll call, they began class. Naruto was still a bit of a daydreamer, but every so often those daydreams would turn in Sakura's direction, which, though he was staring through her, was still aware of her. She noticed at one point in time and smiled, beginning to make funny faces at him, which would cause him to smile and giggle a little too. Irika would look at Naruto. Do you have something to share, Naruto? Naruto shook his head. Irika looked over at Sakura, who was trying her hardest to hide her own laughter. He looked back at Naruto. While I have your attention, why don't you come down here and solve this equation for me? Naruto reluctantly stood and began making his way down. Butch saw this and gave a small smile as his foot slowly inched out into the aisle. Suddenly, there was a startling slam as Irika's hand was pressed against his desk. Butch looked up at Irika. Irika looked down at Butch's foot. That's a nasty habit you got there. Would be a shame if you lost it. Butch pulled his foot back in. Yes, Irika-sensei. Sorry, Irika-sensei. Naruto made his way to the blackboard. He looked at the problem and then back at Sakura, who gave him a thumbs up. Irika gave him the chalk. Let's see you answer this one, Naruto. Naruto rolled the chalk in his hand as he looked at the equation. He began going through the steps Sakura had taught him, and after about a minute and a half, he reached his conclusion. Irika looked at it and gave a slight nod. He then took his thumb and removed the decimal and placed it on the other side of the 9. Very impressive and almost perfect. You just forgot where the decimal went. I can't credit you for answering it correctly because technically you didn't, but it was very close. I'm glad to see you're improving. Go back to your desk now." Naruto turned to leave, but Iruka put a hand on his shoulder to stop him for a moment. Naruto looked back. Iruka offered a smile. "I'm glad to have you back today, Naruto." Naruto smiled and made his way up the stairs and back to his seat. He looked to Sakura, who smiled and gave him 2 thumbs up. Naruto blushed a little and continued the class, this time paying a bit more attention. At lunch, Naruto would, as per usual, have his lunch money taken by Butch. What was there to expect? This was simply the way things were by this point. And so he sat down alone at his table and took out his homework to try and get some of it down. There was a creak. He looked up to see Sakura sitting down across from him. "What, are you not gonna eat?" He shrugged. "Butch took my cash. Nothing left to use as payment." Sakura laughed a little. "Then just share with me." She pulled out half her sandwich and laid it on a napkin with half her apple slices and half of her chips before pushing it over toward him. And so they shared a meal, and she told some of the stories from her life, and even made Naruto laugh a few times. After their lunch, she helped him with his homework and even managed to get it all knocked out before lunch came to an end. After class, she walked him home. They didn't need to study today as it was about to be the weekend, but all the same, she was sure to keep him company on his way back. Getting home, he would open the door and invite her in. She would decline, saying she needed to get home or her parents might wonder where she was. Naruto understood and bid her a good weekend. She then surprised him when she asked if he wanted to do something that weekend. This startled him. He nodded. "Sure. What do you want to do?" he asked. She thought for a moment. "How about we just go out in the town? Go out to eat, go to the playground, anything we feel like doing." Naruto smiled. "Sure, that sounds fun." She smiled back. "Then it's a date. I'll be back at around 11 tomorrow. Sound good?" He nodded. The two then parted ways. Sakura skipped a little on her way out. Honestly, this felt good. At first, she just sort of felt bad for Naruto, but now she was genuinely enjoying spending time with him. On her way home, she stopped by a shop, Yamanaka Flowers. She stepped in. There, she's greeted by Inoichi, the shop's current owner, and also by Ino herself, who's taking some time to help her father. "Hey, Sakura, what's up?" Ino shouts as she walks over. Sakura smiles. "I just thought I'd stop in. I was considering buying a few flowers. Hope that's okay." Ino's eyes widened. "For what occasion? Is there someone special?" Sakura laughed a little. "No, not exactly. These are just to help a friend sleep better at night. I was thinking some potpourri perhaps, maybe a little lavender, a few roses." Ino snapped her fingers. "Don't you worry, I can hook you up." All the while, Inoichi couldn't help but smile to see the sight. Ino helped Sakura pick out some of the better flowers and would help bring her up. After paying, Sakura would wave and leave, making her way back down to Naruto's apartment. She would ring his doorbell and just leave them there. Naruto would open the door and see the basket full of flowers. He would pick it up and read the note attached. "Sweet dreams, Sakura." Naruto was astounded by this. He took the flowers out. He would place the lavender by his bed and put the potpourri on his dresser, and he'd find a nice vase of water to put the roses in, setting them on the desk across from his bed. Naruto sat there in his room and looked around. He read the note that Sakura had left and smiled, feeling a tear start to form in his eye. He would open up the drawer and pull out the journal and would open it up and place the note inside it. He would then lay back and attempt to go to sleep, and for the first time in a long time, Naruto had a dream. A good one. Dear Diary, today I woke up and had a wonderful dream. I dreamed I was soaring above the clouds like a bird. I dreamed that the sun touched my skin and that a smiling face guided me to roost. When I got to roost, that same face appeared and offered me a hand, and when I took it, the world was full of such wonderful colors. Sakura-chan told me that our dreams can say a lot about who we are and what we want out of life, and I think I'm starting to figure that out. Naruto put down his pencil and stared out the window as he leaned back in a chair. Normally, he saved his journal entries for the end of the day, and he still might tack something on later, but he was so excited that he had to record it. Naruto had a dream last night. For the first time in who knows how long, Naruto had a dream. That dream was obvious to Naruto. For most, figuring out what a dream meant was a heavy task, but not this one. Naruto knew from the very start what it meant and how it reflected upon him. He quickly got up and rushed off to get cleaned up. A quick shower and a brush of his teeth was what he normally did at this time of day. After a quick 30 seconds of mouthwash, he spit it out and rinsed. He looked into the mirror with a smile, showing off his slightly dingy but as of yet still pearly whites. And for the first time in a long time, he picked up the comb and began to try different hairstyles. He parted it down the middle. When he didn't like that, he tried pushing it all to one side. Nope. He tried combing it back. Closer, but it just didn't seem to fit his style. Naruto smiled. He added a little gel to his hair and began to comb it up into well-maintained spikes. There. That was similar to his standard hairstyle of everywhere all the time, but it somehow seemed more stylish and well-kept. He walked back to his room. He picked up his jacket to put on, but the smell got to him and he realized that he'd been wearing the same jacket for 2 weeks. Tossing it to the side, he opened his closet and pulled out a new one. And yes, it smelled a bit like potpourri, and as nice as that was, he knew it wasn't him. So he grabbed some Axe body spray, they're not sponsoring us by the way, but it's just cliche for a young man who wants to feel attractive, and loaded himself up on it. Looking into the mirror, he smiled once more, a toothy grin, and felt that this was the best he could ever look. Grabbing something to eat, he kept his eye on the clock. He was waiting for that blessed hour, 11 a.m. It felt like it might never come. Eventually, as it was 10 minutes to, he felt that he couldn't handle it anymore and raced outside, nearly forgetting to lock the door. Going downstairs, he stood and waited until he saw Sakura slowly making her way toward him. As soon as she got close, her nose scrunched up at the offensiveness of the body spray. What, did he bathe in it? She questioned in her head. She took one look at him and understood that he was trying to be dapper, attempting to impress her, and even if it was a bit much, she wouldn't shoot him down. Well, don't you look nice today, she said. Ready to go? Naruto nodded. He began to walk off with her. What are we doing today? He asked her. Anything you want. We can visit the arcade, maybe get something to eat, we could see a movie, she said. Naruto's eyes lit up. A movie? She smiled. Well, it seems that caught your attention. Is there one you've been hoping to see? Naruto didn't even have to think about it. Kagemasa 4, shadows never fade. Sakura laughed. Then I guess that's what we're doing. They took some time to go to the movies and they learned that the next showing would be at noon. So the two burned a little time at the arcade where Naruto laughed like he'd never laughed before. Honestly, Naruto had forgotten what his own laugh sounded like or what it felt like. Going to the cinema, the two would find the perfect seats right in the middle. Not too far from the screen, but not so close that they couldn't see the whole thing. The whole movie, he kept gazing over at Sakura. She was here for Naruto. It wasn't like she'd even seen Kagemasa 3 or the 2 before that, but it's what Naruto wanted to do, and this is what a good friend did. Naruto wanted to make a move, but he wasn't sure how not to be cringe. He considered just grabbing her hand and holding it, but he was afraid that if he made a move too soon, he might drive off his only friend. She was his only warmth in a cold world, and it terrified him that she might go away due to some action he would take. Sakura looked over out of the corner of her eye to see that Naruto's eyes were no longer on the screen, but instead on her hand, his shaking hand hovering nearby. Suddenly, her hand gripped his. He seemed stunned by this, but smiled. Her heart truly was of gold. After the movie, she took him out to get something to eat, and the two talked. So tell me, did you have any dreams last night, Naruto? Naruto nodded. I dreamed I was a bird, flying high in the blue sky, the warmth of the sun on my shoulders. He omitted the rest of her dream for fear that it might scare her off. Sakura nodded. Birds are sometimes synonymous with the concept of freedom. They symbolize the ability to go anywhere at any time. And the warmth of the sun is likely synonymous with happiness or something you desire being fulfilled. To have your day in the sun. It sounds to me like you simply desire the same happiness and freedom that others have, and I'll be sure to help you achieve it. Naruto smiled and giggled a bit before looking down. He then stared up through his eyebrows as if nervous and shy. What was your dream about? Sakura thought about it for a moment. I dreamed I was riding a giraffe again, but this time I was a giraffe too, so it went from fun to fever dream real quick. The two laughed at the dream and continued their meal until they finally finished. They ended their day by playing at the park a little. After spending that time together, they decided that it was time to go home, and so this time Naruto walked Sakura home. She stepped to the door and waved, and Naruto of course would wave back. As she disappeared behind the door, Naruto would turn and begin to walk away. Monday eventually came, and it was time to go back to school. Despite this, Naruto did not feel the same dread he always felt. The two of them would meet and walk to school together. Getting there, Naruto would take his seat, and some of the other kids were picking on him a little, but nothing could wipe away that stupid, happy smile from his mug. He looked out the window and began to daydream again, but this time it was about her. To be frank, Sakura harbored no romantic feelings toward Naruto. He was just so love-starved that he was developing feelings for the first person in who knows how long to show him any sort of attraction. And though it might not be a good idea in the long run, she couldn't help but let him continue to have it. Maybe he would grow out of it, or perhaps simply she would develop feelings too. The future was so unsure that there was no use in her worrying about it. So she sat there and continued listening to class. As it came to an end and recess was called, Naruto stood by the lockers and sort of waited for the next bell. He looked over at Sakura, who smiled and waved back. As they stood there, they saw Butch on his way, making daily collections. He stopped in front of a boy with black hair. Ah, the new kid. Well, it's a good idea to show you how things work. There's a little thing called the geek tax. It's a tax you gotta pay for being a geek. Refuse to pay and I revoke your right to breathe. $5. Butch held out his hand. The black-haired boy scoffed at him and turned back to his locker. Butch placed a hand on the boy's shoulder. Maybe you didn't hear me. I said if you The boy put a fist into Butch's stomach, and as he doubled over in pain, he left him laying there, grabbing at his bloody broken nose. Naruto was surprised. He'd never seen anyone give Butch his just desserts before, let alone someone smaller than him. Whoa, who was that? Naruto asked. Sakura looked over. That's Sasuke Uchiha. He's new. He just transferred. Do you know anything more about him? Naruto asked. Sakura shook her head. Only that he's prickly and doesn't get along well with others. Naruto nodded. The bell rang and Naruto and Sakura made their way to their next class. While there, Naruto couldn't help but let his gaze drift towards Sasuke once again. He was wondering about him quite a bit. He looked over at Sakura for a moment to find her looking at Sasuke the same way. Naruto saw the same look in Sasuke's eyes that Naruto once had. Class whizzed by, it seemed, in the twinkling of an eye. As Naruto stood ready for lunch, he recognized that he still had his lunch money, which meant that he could actually eat today. As Naruto and Sakura met up with each other, they both knew what the other was thinking. So for lunch, they got something to eat and looked for Sasuke. He was sitting alone at a table, and so they both sat down in front of him. He stopped chewing midway through a bite of sandwich and just looked at them both with the most uninviting stare imaginable. Naruto was almost scared off by this, but Sakura put her hand on his leg to tell him that it was okay without breaking her eyes from the dark-haired boy, a smile prevalent on her face. Hi, she said. He didn't respond. What are you having for lunch? Sakura asked. Once more, he did not answer. He merely stared more daggers into her. She looked at Naruto, who was slowly growing annoyed. I saw that you were alone and thought that maybe you could use a friend, she said. He suddenly stood up, grabbed his lunchbox, and began making his way to another unoccupied table. That bastard, Naruto exclaimed as he stood, nearly ready to go after him, but Sakura held out her hand and grabbed him to stop. Leave him, she said. She looked back at Sasuke, attempting to discover what this was and the cause of it. As recess set in further, the two watched Sasuke closely and found that other kids tended to gravitate toward him, and many attempted to be his friend. Many girls tried to woo him, but he shot those advances down. Sakura recalled that Naruto had been similar to Sasuke at the start, but for Naruto it was suspicion that no one would actually be nice to him, yet he slowly warmed to the idea. Sasuke, however, had plenty of prospective friends, yet he denied them all, refusing to talk to half of them and speaking words of reproach towards them if they were unusually determined. Sakura seemed confused by this. I just think the guy's an ass, Naruto said as he watched from the distance with her. Sakura merely raised her finger to shush Naruto. No. There was something more to this, and Sakura was dead set on finding out what it was. After school, the two of them would follow Sasuke at a distance. He seemed suspicious, as if he suspected someone might be watching him, but all the same, whatever feelings of being watched he felt, they weren't strong enough to deter him. He continued to walk, and Naruto and Sakura followed him. Slowly, he turned into an old and forgotten part of town, an old compound. Naruto looked around. The Uchiha compound. Why would he go to such a desolate dump like this? Sakura was starting to get the idea, but she kept it to herself for now. They followed him to his house and watched him go inside. Once he disappeared, Sakura turned toward Naruto. Do you think he actually lives here? Naruto asked. Sakura nodded. After Sasuke left, she noticed that a light turned on in one of the upstairs bedrooms. She snuck in. Naruto whispered after her, Sakura, come back. Naruto followed her in. Sakura looked around. It was dark, well kept, but dark. Naruto shivered when he got in. Despite being out of the cold and into relative warmth, he shivered. This was due to the creepy atmosphere. Something really bad happened here, Naruto said as he rubbed his arms to drive off the chill. Of course, Sakura didn't need to hear that from Naruto. Sakura knew exactly what happened here. As she moved her way through, she found a busted picture frame. In that frame was a picture of 4 people, with one of the members torn out. Sasuke must not want to remember someone, Naruto said. As Sakura looked the picture over a bit, she noticed who actually was in the picture. Naruto, do you know who this is? She asked. Naruto shrugged. Well, I know that kid there's Sasuke. He hasn't changed much, but I wouldn't know any of the others from Adam. Sakura pointed to a man. That's Fugaku Uchiha. Naruto didn't seem to understand. The clan head. Sakura tacked on to help him understand. Why would Sasuke have a picture taken with the clan head of the Uchiha? Sakura smiled a little and shook her head. I think it's his dad. Naruto thought about it. Wait. If Fugaku's Sasuke's dad, then the person torn out must be Sasuke's brother, Itachi, Sakura said, finishing Naruto's sentence. Naruto looked to Sakura. But didn't they say that Itachi was the murderer of the Uchiha? Sakura nodded. If Sasuke really is Fugaku's son, then that means Sasuke watched his own brother kill his clan. What are you doing here? A third voice appeared from behind. Sakura and Naruto turned around to see Sasuke standing there. Naruto almost freaked out and seemed like he wanted to hide behind Sakura. Sakura attempted to hide the picture behind her. Sasuke took a step forward and extended his hand, open palm facing up. Sakura knew what this meant. She put the picture in his hand. Sasuke looked at it for a second before his eyes slowly looked back up. Get out. Get out. Sakura tried to protest. Sasuke, we're sorry for spying. I said get out. The burning in his dark gray eyes almost seemed to spark to red for a moment before once again returning to gray. Naruto and Sakura stepped out of the home as Sakura closed the door behind them. Sakura took a few steps out, looking at the ground before Naruto looked back at the door. That was close. Sakura shook her head and kept walking. Hey, wait up! Naruto followed her. What's wrong? He asked. I figured out why he is the way he is, and now I've made it impossible for either of us to ever solve that issue. Naruto seemed to look away from her during the outburst. She pushed a strand of hair off her face. Sasuke is mistrusting. Someone he loved and trusted with his heart betrayed him. He's hurt like you were, Naruto. But the difference is there's no amount of affection that can help him because he doesn't trust affection enough to let it inside. He's closed off in an entirely new way. The only way to care for him is to get him to open up to us and trust us. And now, well, we've shut that door forever. Naruto shook his head. Well, maybe we can get to him anyway. Perhaps if we explain? I don't think it'll work, Naruto. Naruto shook his head. Oh well. Naruto nodded. Oh well. Sakura looked back down the road they'd traveled. That boy's in trouble and all you can say is, oh well? Naruto shrugged. Well, what do you want me to say? There's nothing we can do about it. I refuse to believe that, she said. If there's a way, then tell me. Get him to trust us. You already said that was impossible, and without trust, you can't help him. That doesn't mean we should give up, she said. Naruto shook his head and walked to the side. My question is, why do you care so much? Sakura watched this with a slightly appalled look on her face. My question is, why don't you care this much? Naruto stood there for a moment. Sakura continued. You were where he is now. You needed a friend, and I came out to be that friend because I believe nobody should ever have to go through that sort of thing. And now you have a chance to help me out, to pay it forward. And your response is, why should I care? That's despicable. She began to turn and walk off. Wait, where are you going? She didn't even look back. Home. I'm going to try to think of a way to make him feel better. She left Naruto standing there. Naruto was stunned. He started to go home. Reaching his home, he opened the door, closed it, and locked it. He put his keys on the table and walked into his room where he looked out the window and thought on the whole situation. He grit his teeth. He looked down at the vase of flowers that she'd given him. He picked it up and launched it at the wall, smashing the vase. She thinks I'm a charity case. That's why she chose to be my friend. Not because she wanted to, but because she felt bad. And now that I'm a bandaged puppy healing in the corner, she's gonna move on and play doctor with some new guy. None of it was real, was it? None of it. Not a damn thing of it. As he sat there, he saw the desk where his journal was. He stood and walked over to it, opening it up, pulling it out. He read through the entries once again. In anger, he ripped them out and shredded them. Then he took his pen and wrote in it, I was always right. Nothing changed. He then began to write nothing has changed over and over again on every subsequent page until he reached the end of the book. He then threw the book down and stomped on it. He resented the day Hiruzen had ever given him that damn journal. Count your blessings with it, the old fool had told him. What blessings? This wasn't a blessing, this was a curse. And the past few days were the most elaborate joke ever played. Lies. It was all a lie, a friggin' lie, he said as he punched a hole through the wall. Pulling his fist from the drywall, he proceeded to make a second hole, and then a third, over and over, left and right as he punched through the wall. He was going to be sure that the wall was full of as many holes as his heart. Sakura returned home and began trying to think up ways to help Sasuke. As she sat there, she looked over at her desk to see a picture in a frame. A picture she and Naruto had taken together. She thought back on the moment that she left him there, the look on his face. She thought that perhaps she was a bit harsh on him. She was just frustrated. She didn't mean any of those things. She didn't think he was despicable. She was wrong to think like that. At the moment, she wondered why Naruto wouldn't want to help someone in Sasuke's position, but maybe it wasn't that he didn't want to, but that he didn't know how to. Naruto had been in a similar situation, but his stemmed from a totally different place. Naruto had been starved of affection, and Sasuke had been destroyed by it. Naruto, probably, like so many others, wanted to pass his affection on, but Sasuke would close the door in his face. Sakura was determined to find a way, but even she had to admit that it was a tall order. It was just so much. She felt a bit bad about it and decided that she needed to apologize to Naruto. She picked up the phone and attempted to call. It rang and then went to the answering machine. She knew he had to be home by this point of the night. She asked him to pick up if he were there. There was no response. So she tried calling again. Once again, no answer. Suddenly, she felt terror in her heart, and she finally understood the look Irika had when Naruto hadn't shown up for school that day. She stood and grabbed the coat. She began making it to the door when her mother stopped her. "Where do you think you're going?" she asked. "Out to see a friend. Not at this hour, and on a school night no less." Sakura stopped and looked up. "Mom, I need to go." Her mother saw the look in her face. "Sakura, what's wrong?" "Mom, I think a friend of mine's in danger. I need to go." Sakura stepped out into the darkness. Despite everything, her mother didn't stop her. She knew the kind of person Sakura was and didn't want to get in the way of her actions. Sakura walked all the way to Naruto's apartment building and made it to his door. She knocked a few times, but there was no answer. She knocked a bit louder and a bit harder, calling out in a voice a few decibels higher. It eventually reached a point where she could hear the neighbors cursing her out from behind their doors. Sakura would then pull a key from her pocket. This had been the key that Naruto had lost when he fell down the stairs those days ago. She meant to return it to him, but she continued to forget. Now she was just glad she had it. She began to open the door. She walked inside, closing the door behind her. "Naruto," she called. She got no response. She began checking around the apartment. She made her way into his bedroom and saw the smashed vase, the ruined journals, the clothes strewn about like an explosion, and the multiple holes in the wall just the size of Naruto's fist. Worse, there was blood. "Please, God, no," she called out. "Naruto! Naruto!" She looked around and made her way into the bathroom, flipping on the light where she saw him laying in the tub. "Naruto?" she asked in terror. He looked up at her. There was slight relief in her heart, but not as much as she would have liked. She sat there on the side and looked in. She noticed his hands. They were covered in blood, the flesh of the knuckles brutally torn away. She thought she spied white cracked bone there as well. "Naruto," she said in shock, "what have you done?" She reached down to take his hands to examine them, only to have him pull them away and push her off the tub with a light kick. "Get away from me, I don't need nursing, I don't need sympathy." She rose to her knees and looked in. "What do you mean?" Naruto's teeth showed like a rabid dog ready to pounce. "You said it yourself. I'm like Sasuke. I'm not some puppy to be bandaged and thrown away." "Who said I was throwing you away?" Sakura asked. Naruto looked at her. "Isn't it obvious? You fixed me. Now it's time for Dr. Sakura to move on to her next charity case." Sakura was appalled. "Why would you say such a thing?" "Tell me I'm wrong," Naruto said. "Tell me that you didn't become my friend simply because you felt bad for me." Sakura honestly couldn't say that. She had become his friend out of pity, but it wasn't like she hadn't grown to value him. Naruto scoffed and sneered. "You can't, can you? You really did become my friend simply because you felt bad. Well, I'd rather have no friends than a fake one, so just get out." Sakura shook her head. "No." Naruto began to stand up. "No? You tell me no in my house? I told you to leave. If you don't get out, I'll throw you out." She shook her head. "No, Naruto, I'm not gonna leave you." He grit his teeth. "I told you that I don't need you to feel bad for me. It's insulting. So help me, if you don't get out, I'll beat your ass to Kingdom Come." Sakura stood. "Naruto, when I first met you, you were in such a slump. You were so down that Iruka-sensei was afraid that you'd kill yourself. I was afraid too. I needed to see that you were okay." "So you admit it," Naruto said. "You admit that you only showed up because you felt bad for me." Sakura nodded. "It's true. I did. And then I stayed. Not because I felt bad for you, but because I genuinely developed a bond with you. I swear, Naruto, you became my best friend. And if you ever needed me, well, I would still have been your friend. I swear that on my life." Naruto stood there as tears began to drip from his eyes. "Why is it so important that you do this? You feel bad for us and think we need pity? Me and Sasuke? You want to fix us?" Sakura watched as Naruto slowly fell to his knees. She herself began to cry. "I don't mean anything bad by it. I don't wish to take away from your pride, but it's hard for me. It's hard for me to watch people suffer when I have so much. My actions were selfish, but they were also selfless. And if I had to do it again, I would, because you deserve to be loved, even if you don't think so. Even if nobody else will say so. I don't want to see any of my peers, you, Sasuke, Rock Lee, I don't want to see any of you suffer and go without. I can't fix anyone. I want to, but I can't. I just wanted to break the ice. With you, with Sasuke. I just want you both to open up to me so we actually can develop a bond." Naruto listened. She was empathetic to a terrible degree. She was so kind that the thought of anyone else being in pain brought her pain. She loved both Naruto and Sasuke before they even became friends, enough to feel tormented by their suffering to the point where she made it her mission to save them from loneliness. And now he no longer wondered why it mattered to her so much. It mattered because she was Sakura. It mattered because they mattered. As he sat there, she sniffed a bit as she looked at his hands. He'd really mangled them. Fingers were broken, skin was shredded, and his knuckles were cracked and exposed from under the skin. She took a towel and pressed it to them. She then stood and grabbed the first aid kit. She was no doctor, but she said that Naruto needed to see one as soon as he could to ensure that nothing went wrong, but she did attempt to help them. To his torment, she cleaned the wounds with alcohol before applying a styptic and wrapping them up, attempting to reset the bones in his fingers and hands so they could heal. Once that was done, she helped him up and to his room. She helped him remove his jacket and shoes and get into bed. As he laid there, she sat on the side of the bed, her eyes full of concern, yet a gentle smile on her lips. She pushed his hair to the side. Naruto, we're friends. I don't want you to ever doubt that, okay? He nodded slowly. Do you need anything before I go? He shook his head. She stood up to make sure he was warm. Your hands are gonna hurt like hell tomorrow. I'll get some pain medicine ready for you for when you wake up. As she went to leave, he called out for her. Sakura? She looked back. Yes? He sat there silently for a moment. Thank you for being my friend. She smiled. She turned and went to the kitchen where she got out a set of tiny orange pills. Medicine for various body aches, something you required to have on standby as a shinobi. As she prepared to leave, she decided that she would keep the spare key for herself just in case. After all, Naruto lived alone, and if he needed anyone, they would need a way to get in on their own. So she took the key up and took it home with her. The next day, Sakura sat there at her desk. She was not worried, though she didn't expect to see Naruto that day due to his hands. She was surprised when he was there for roll call, as was Irika, who Sakura had told of the incident the night prior. Naruto? Are you gonna be okay with your hands like that? Naruto nodded. I'll be fine, but I think I'll need help with my schoolwork. Irika rubbed the back of his head. I'll tell you what, why don't you and Miss Haruno work together then? I'll just grade you both based on a single paper. That doesn't sound very legal, Shikamaru said. Irika ignored it. Then he began to start class. Once class was over, they made their way back to the halls to get the rest of their gear. Once again, Butch, his nose wrapped up tightly, began to make his rounds, collecting the geek tax, skipping Sasuke. Can't take the geek tax out on a Chad, he would say to Sasuke as he walked past. He eventually made it to Naruto. Geek tax, nerd. Fork over the cash. Naruto then realized he didn't bring any money with him today, nor did he remember to pack a lunch. He looked up. I forgot to bring it today, Butch. Maybe I can just pay you twice tomorrow? Butch shook his head. Nope, because tomorrow will become next week, and next week will become next month, and next month will become never. Gotta set precedents. I'm pretty sure I explained this to you already, shortstop. If you don't have the money, then I'm taking collateral. He reached out for Naruto's backpack. Naruto pulled it away. Oh, so you want me to take the collateral out on your face then? That's fine, I'll do that too. He punched Naruto in the face, causing him to fall back against his locker. Butch began to search through Naruto's belongings. What, you don't have anything worth $5? He dropped Naruto's stuff. Naruto was only now starting to get to his feet. Butch came in again to punch him. Naruto managed to lessen the blow by raising his shoulder to catch it. Butch tried again, but this time Naruto raised his hands instinctively to defend himself, and Butch struck his left hand. Naruto let out a muffled cry as the white bandages began to turn red. Sakura gripped Butch's hand before he could punch Naruto again. Butch, in return, pushed Sakura back into the lockers. Get off me, bitch! At that moment, Sasuke suddenly came in and struck Butch, knocking him to the ground like a linebacker. Sasuke's eyes were glowing red, his Sharingan active. Butch began attempting to crawl away. That guy's crazy, he shouted in a shaky voice as he pulled away. Naruto held the hand. Let it go, Sasuke, please! Sasuke looked up at Naruto's hand and saw the blood. Sasuke took a breath. He let go of the pencil. Due to the altercation, Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke were all given detention. Butch, on the other hand, received a 1-week suspension for instigating and attacking a student. As they sat there in silence, Naruto and Sakura sandwiched Sasuke. They looked over at him. So, why did you try to stab Butch? Sakura asked. Sasuke didn't even look at her. I hate bullies. That's pretty extreme though. Why? Don't question him, Sakura, Naruto said. He saved me from getting my ass beaten. That's enough for me. Sakura took a deep breath and let it out as a sigh. You're right. She turned to Sasuke. Thank you. Sasuke sat there silently for a moment before looking at Naruto, who was currently examining the bloodstains on his bandaged hand. How did you hurt your hands? Rage, Naruto said. I got upset. I punched through a few walls and broke them. Sasuke scoffed. What, did your mom and dad tell you no or something? Naruto shook his head. I don't have a mom or dad. Never have. Sasuke looked over at Naruto for a moment before looking back at the wall. I'm sorry to hear that. I don't have any either. Naruto nodded. I was upset because I was afraid that a friend wasn't being a friend for legitimate reasons and that I'd be left alone again. I was afraid I was going to be betrayed. Sasuke then looked over. Were you? Naruto shook his head. No, my friend came to my house and found me. This work's actually hers. She bandaged my hands. She? Sasuke asked. Naruto pointed over to the other side of Sasuke. Sasuke looked over at Sakura. He looked back at the chalkboard. So why were you two following me? Sakura then took a turn to speak. We wanted to check and see if you were okay. You're always by yourself, and even when someone attempts to be your friend, you turn him away. I didn't think that that was any way to live, so I wanted to follow you to see if we could discover why you don't want anyone to be your friend. I now see that I crossed a line with that, and I intruded into your personal business. That's on me. Naruto tried to stop me, but I wouldn't listen. I'm sorry. Sasuke thought about it for a moment, swallowing before rolling his eyes. It's fine. Naruto sat there in silence and boredom, his neck craned back, his eyes facing the ceiling. So your brother killed everyone? Naruto, Sakura reprimanded him. Sasuke scoffed, finding it slightly humorous. Yes, he did. He was so strong, the strongest, I thought. And then he used that power to kill the weak, sparing me because he said I was too weak to even be worth the effort. That's why I don't like bullies. I hate people who flaunt their power over the weak. Cool, Naruto said. He sat his head forward. I felt like that too, but for different reasons, I guess, and definitely with different outcomes. I generally get tenderized. Sasuke looked over. You just need to train a bit. Naruto shrugged. Not many people to train with, sadly. Most kids avoid me and most adults ignore me. Nobody to train with. Sasuke thought for a moment. Fix those hands up and maybe I'll teach you. Won't be easy, but if you don't wuss out, I think you'll be stronger for it. Naruto laughed. You have a deal. Sakura watched this unfold. Considering that they would all be in detention for a week, they would have nothing to do but talk. Maybe it was shaky, but a start was a start, and she could see this budding into a wonderful friendship. Dust shot up into the air as Naruto fell on his rear end. Scars. His hands, knuckles, wrists, each covered in a scar. Not because of physical turmoil, but each one a reminder of his pains. Standing above him, his fist pressed out, was Sasuke. His hands were not scarred. One could not measure the pain in Sasuke's heart by the physical, but just because you couldn't see it on his person didn't mean it wasn't there. Looking into his eyes, one could see a pain subtle within. Intensity was the best thing to say about those eyes, like a fire burning in a hurricane. The same gaze as a man staring at a burning village, the smell of corpses on fire, the stench of blood. Unsettling, yet resolve existed within those eyes that declared it would survive. That was the scar Sasuke displayed. A gaze, eyes filled with equal parts fear and anger. Naruto, rubbing his cheek as he sat there, looked as though he might soon cry. It was then that the fist that struck him turned into an open hand. Extending down to Naruto, Naruto took it and pulled him from the dirt. Do you understand what you did wrong there? Sasuke asked. Naruto nodded. I rushed headlong into my strikes. Sasuke nodded. In fighting, your emotions can be a powerful tool. It's okay to have emotions in a fight, but it's not okay to let your emotions have you. A fight is all about control, maintaining control of yourself and gaining control of the opponent. In that way, every attack must be measured. You didn't seem quite controlled when you were about to stab Butch with that pencil, Naruto said, pointing out Sasuke's own lack of control. Sasuke felt anger bubbling up in his chest, but he let it go. Frankly, Naruto was right. Emotional control is an ongoing battle. That's why I don't consider myself a master of combat yet, but that doesn't make my words any less true. Naruto offered a nod in understanding. Yeah. Sakura sat on a bench across from the two boys, watching them spar. These two had been doing it off and on for the past few days. Naruto had gone from blindly flinging his arms around while his head was angled down to a proper square stance. But the emotional control in the heat of battle was hard to manage, which is why practice like this was necessary. It took more than just knowing how to fight to win. They needed to make it muscle memory so that it was something that could be done without even thinking. Still, Sakura was pleased to see that Sasuke was seemingly warming up to Naruto and herself. They began to set up for another spar. Remember the things I taught you. Remember how control works. Try to take control. Use my own attacks against me. If someone can't control their own emotions, that gives you a window to control it for them. Now, fight. Sasuke drew closer to Naruto. Naruto continued to circle Sasuke, keeping a healthy distance, keeping his breathing calm. Sasuke would quickly close the gap, and though Naruto's first instinct was to panic, he got a grip and said no. Instead, he stood resolute. He could either panic and get hurt, or make progress and still get hurt. If he was to be hurt either way, he'd like to at least gain control of the situation. As Sasuke's fist came in, Naruto grabbed it as opposed to parrying it. He used Sasuke's momentum as well as his own body weight to pull Sasuke forward into his foot and put him on the ground. This was what Sasuke was trying to teach him. Control. Control was everything. When you had control, you were the master. And when others were in a position like this, unless they had some sick countermove, they were at your mercy. Good, Sasuke said through a strained voice. Naruto let Sasuke up. That's enough for now, as he dusted himself off. Sakura stood and walked over to them. You two ready to go? She asked. They nodded. Grabbing their water bottles and other things, they got ready to head back to the school and take a quick shower and change into some different clothes. At least Naruto and Sasuke would. Sakura hadn't really done anything, so she didn't even have to change. They were going to go out for dinner tonight. Sasuke originally didn't want to, but when she mentioned that the restaurant they were going to had the most exquisite onigiri, he couldn't help but begrudgingly join them. But as they were walking back, they realized that they weren't alone on this field. There was another boy standing there. At first, they couldn't tell who it was because they were standing, their back against them. But after a couple more moments, Sakura spoke. Oh, it's Lee. He's always out here, Naruto said. How are you doing, Lee? Sakura asked. He didn't respond and kept striking the post. Sakura began to feel awkward. She was preparing to leave him be. Well, see you around. She was stopped by Naruto's hand. His gaze locked on Lee with suspicion and a slight tinge of concern. What's wrong? Sakura asked. His knuckles. Sakura looked back at Lee and noticed as he pulled his hand back that they were covered in blood. Lee? She called back, but as his punches slowed and his breathing quickened, he kept striking. Lee! Sakura called out to get his attention. He slowed to a stop. Sakura hesitated again before speaking. Are you all right? Suddenly, Lee's feet went out from under him as he fell to his knees. Falling forward, his face smacked the pole before rolling to the side. Sasuke's hand raised for a second in confusion as Naruto's eyes widened. Sakura called out to him, Lee! She ran over and rolled him on his back. Lee's eyes were rolled up into his head, yet still partially open. On top of all of this, his body was still jerking a bit. It almost seemed like a seizure in some aspects. What it really was, Sakura didn't know, but she knew he needed a doctor, now. Naruto, call a doctor! Naruto began fumbling through his bag for a cell phone. Pulling one out, he dialed 911. 911, what's your emergency? The voice on the other end asked. We have a student at Konoha Ninja Academy that just collapsed on the field. Are they breathing? The voice asked. Yeah, but it sounds bad. Their body's jerking, and they're not responsive to our voices. We need someone out here, now. Understood. Paramedics are on the way. Naruto hung up the phone. A few moments passed before the paramedic team showed up and loaded Lee up onto a stretcher and began to take him off to Konoha General. The sight had soured the move, and even now as they sat at the restaurant eating, few of them spoke. Sakura didn't know Lee very well. The one thing that was known about him is that he was a tryhard and that he was only ever spinning his wheels in the mud. No matter what he tried, he wasn't making any real progress. Despite that, Sakura didn't know how bad it was until today. Sasuke was eating his onigiri. To be honest, he didn't really talk much unless he was asked. Naruto, on the other hand, was usually a regular chatty Cathy, but right now his arms were resting behind his head as he reclined in the chair. He was looking out the window, daydreaming as it seemed so often he did. But Sakura could tell that it was more than absent-mindedness. While indeed he was elsewhere in his thoughts, she could tell just by looking at him that he was still aware. Something had just taken over his thought trains. Sakura knew immediately what he was thinking about. She spoke. You're thinking about Lee, aren't you? She asked. Sasuke, still eating his onigiri, looked over at Naruto for a second, hinting at a slight interest to hear the answer, though it seemed to be immediately overtaken by a need for another bite of rice ball. Naruto spoke. I keep thinking about him, how he was just laying there on the ground. Why did he do that? He probably worked himself too hard, Sasuke said as he strained to swallow another bite, trying to force it down with a little green tea. Naruto continued to think about it. Why? The next day at school, the three of them took their seats together. At first, Sasuke had resisted, but eventually they convinced him to let them sit by him. After all, what's worse, sitting with us or sitting with people you don't know? Sakura asked. Sasuke couldn't deny it. Sakura had a point. Anyone else who sat with him tended to be overreaching girls who were just trying to impress him and win affection. At least Naruto and Sakura were cool about it. Eventually, Rock Lee snuck into class, taking his seat away from everyone. His hands were wrapped up, and he still possessed blood on his knuckles. He wasn't the only one coming back to class that day either. Butch was as well. Walking past the trio, Sasuke kept his gaze on Butch out of the corner of his eye. Sakura watched Butch come back as well, but Naruto just ignored him. That being said, Butch did not stop to say or do anything. Not this time. Probably never again. Torturing classmates was fun and all, but the moment he saw that pencil getting ready to rob sight from his eye, he realized it wasn't all fun and games anymore. And so he took his seat in the back and said nothing to anyone. Not a word. Naruto returned his gaze to Lee as class finally began. This made Sakura smile a bit. He's becoming aware, she said within herself. It's affecting him now too. Despite knowing Lee was probably in a horrible state, it made her ecstatic to know that Naruto was finally understanding the desire to help others. As class came to an end and lunch rolled around, Lee gathered his things and began to leave the classroom. Everyone else gathered their things too. As they stepped into the cafeteria, Sakura spoke to Naruto. I couldn't help but notice that you were staring at Lee today, she said. He seems lonely, Naruto replied, his gaze looking back at Lee, who was sitting at a table alone. Sakura noticed it too. Why don't you go say something to him? Naruto shook his head. Oh no. No, I couldn't do that. I wouldn't even know what to say. Sakura put her hand on Naruto's, drawing his attention. Don't be afraid, Naruto. That pull in your heart you feel, it's drawing you toward him for a reason. You care. You'll know what to say. Just throw caution to the wind. What if I say something wrong and embarrass myself, or alienate myself from him, he said with genuine concern. Sakura kissed his forehead and pulled him into an embrace. Those feelings tell you that you actually care, Naruto, that you want to help him. We can't always control how people react to us, but we can always offer a hand to those in need. And if they need us, they can always take that hand. Just give it a shot. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. Naruto looked back over for a second. He felt a bit cold, like his muscles were stiffening. His toes felt like they were freezing. Now he understood where the term getting cold feet came from. But all the same, he felt as though if he didn't do something now, his conscience wouldn't let him hear the end of it. And so, he slowly closed his lunchbox and stood. He looked like he was about to walk, but had yet to move. He was still nervous. Sakura took his hand in hers and rubbed it tightly between her two palms. A little extra warmth to warm those feet, she said with a smile. Naruto looked back. Do you ever feel like this? He asked. Sakura smiled. I feel like this every time. Naruto nodded. Sometimes doing the right thing is hard. Yes, but all the things worth doing tend to be. Just try your best. If it doesn't work out, then it wasn't meant to be. Do what you can and just know that I'm proud of you, okay? Naruto swallowed and began to walk toward Lee. All the while, Sasuke watched this unfold from his seat. As Naruto began to walk, Sakura watched him with a look that Sasuke had only ever seen from a mother. Why do you guys do this? He asked. Do what? She asked, her gaze and demeanor unchanging. You know, this. Care. Is that unusual? She asked as she looked toward Sasuke. He shrugged. Yeah, kinda. Nobody cares in this world. So why do you guys care? Sakura looked down at her lunch with a smile. Because everyone deserves it. Love is what we're called to do. Loving your neighbor as yourself. You know, the golden rule. It's gold for a reason. Sasuke took another bite from his lunch. Seems like a lot of trouble. So much drama. Don't you ever get tired of it? Sakura nodded. It can be hard sometimes. And there does come a point where you feel overwhelmed. But that shouldn't slow you down. After all, if you're tired of dealing with someone's circumstances, how much more must that person be tired of living through it? Sasuke was trying to wrap his head around this, around Sakura and Naruto, around their whole crusade for kindness. Sasuke continued to think about it. What drove you to me? He asked. You two really were following me around. I know we've talked about this before, but why did it matter to you that I had no friends when I never wanted any? Why did you feel the need to insert yourselves into my life when I tried so hard to push you out of it? Sakura smiled. We pushed in because even if you didn't want it, you needed it. You have every reason to not want friends, but you can't give up. You were betrayed, hurt, and that left a scar on you deeper than any blade could ever make. But that shouldn't make you stop searching for love, even if you really want to. Humans require many things to survive, but among the greatest things we need is love. Love, even if it's a concept without a physical form, is no less required for our ability to survive than food, air, and water. She reached out across the table and took his hand. Love can cause pain, and some people feel dissuaded by it. In the same way that food may cause vomiting if improperly prepared and cause one to lose appetite. But all the same, if we stop eating, if we stop trying to find love, we'll starve. So if you ask me why I wanted to help you, it was because you needed it. That's why. Sasuke's expression, though he had yet to know it, had shifted. Normally a brick wall of stoicism, Sasuke's face displayed that the words she said had cut him deeper than any kunai ever had. I don't know if I can ever trust love again. I died that day in the compound. I may walk now, but who I was and who I've become, it's a hollow shell. Sakura looked down at Sasuke's hands. She ran her thumb over his, offering affection with nothing more than the print of her finger. Even if you're hollow now, drained of everything that once gave you life, you can be filled again. It's not over for you. You just need to know where to look. At the other table, Lee sat there with his meal. Highly nutritious, filled with protein and other healthy things, including the proper levels of carbs. It was then that a lunchbox was sat down upon the table. "May I join you?" Naruto asked. Lee looked up with his big eyes. "Of course. There's enough room at this table for everyone." Naruto sat down. As he sat there for a moment, Naruto looked at his own hands and then at Lee's bandaged ones. Lee saw it and followed Naruto's gaze back to his own. "I see you have many scars on your knuckles," Lee said. "You must have trained very hard in your life. You must be very strong." Naruto wasn't sure what to say about that, but realizing the emotional turmoil he had faced in his life and the way Sakura had helped him become what he was now, he nodded. "I guess I have." "How much can you lift?" Lee asked. "Lift? The strength I was speaking of wasn't physical." Lee was quiet for a moment. There was so much awkwardness in the air now. I'm probably weirding you out," Naruto said as he stood and closed his lunchbox. "I should go." "Wait," Lee interjected. "Stay." Naruto sat back down. Lee then began to speak. "Yesterday I was training and blacked out. I normally wake up at night and just walk home, but yeah." "You do that often?" Naruto asked in shock. Lee didn't quite know how to respond, so he simply continued what he was saying. "Yesterday though, I woke up in the hospital. That means someone called them to pick me up. That was you, wasn't it?" Naruto nodded. "You fell over and you weren't doing well. Your breathing and movements were sporadic. We were afraid for your safety." "Thank you very much," Lee said, offering a bow of respect that had his forehead hit the table, a thud so deep that the entire thing vibrated. Naruto was shocked by this. You don't have to do that," he said. Lee raised his head. "You have my eternal gratitude, Naruto. If ever you are in need, do not hesitate to contact me, and I will be there in a moment's notice." Naruto waved it off. That's okay. I just came over to talk to you because I've been worried." "You are worried for me?" Naruto nodded. Lee smiled brightly. "You need not do that. I am able to take care of myself. I am a hard worker, you see." "I can see that, but maybe you work too hard?" Lee's demeanor shifted to one of questioning as his head cocked to the side. Everything about this boy was extra intense, from his words to his actions to the way he carried himself. Everything. "You think I work too hard?" Naruto nodded. "I understand work ethic, but don't you think you're pushing yourself too hard?" "How do you mean?" Lee asked. "Well, for instance, you just admitted to me that you work so hard that you black out, and that's dangerous." "I'm sorry if I worried you with my words. I am merely doing the things that I do." "But why do you have to do it that way?" Naruto asked. "Because if one is to work, then they should give everything they have. That's what the world deserves." "But that's not good." Lee's smile seemed to fade. "It is good. If I am to be a shinobi, then I must get used to giving my all. If I don't, then how could I call myself a ninja?" "How will you become a ninja if you die during training?" Lee seemed to grow a bit tired of this conversation, so he closed his lunchbox. Standing up, he spoke. "I think maybe I have had enough to eat." He offered a bit of a bow to Naruto. "Thank you very much for helping me yesterday. It means very much to me." Lee then walked away. Naruto face planted into the table. Sakura from the distance spoke. "Uh-oh. That doesn't look good." She and Sasuke gathered their things and walked over. "I bombed so hard, Sakura-chan," Naruto said, his voice still muffled by the table. "I bombed so hard." Sakura sat down beside him and put her hand on his shoulder. "It's okay. You tried your best." Sakura pat his shoulder. He began to explain to her what he said to Lee. Sakura listened and nodded. "It sounds like you came across accusatory." "Accusatory? But I was trying to help." "I know, Naruto, but there's a process. A way to speak with people that helps them understand where you're coming from." "I knew I shouldn't do this. I don't even have that much experience talking to people anyway. How could I ever do what you do? I'm just an idiot." Sakura lifted Naruto up and hugged him. "You are not an idiot. You just need to keep working on it." "What's the play now though?" Sasuke asked. "Are you gonna talk to him again?" "Naruto's gonna see this through." What? Naruto questioned. I'll just mess it up again. How do you expect me to do that? Sakura looked at Naruto. You're not gonna mess it up, and I'm gonna help you. And so, as school let out, Sakura took Naruto and Sasuke to her home, where she introduced them to her parents. They all shared a wonderful meal. After that, she took them up to her room, where she sat pillows out on the floor. What are we doing? Naruto asked. Welcome, students, to Sakura's school of how not to fail at being a kind and friendly person. Needs a shorter name, Naruto said. Yeah, like how to not suck at being a human, Sasuke said, which drew a chuckle from Naruto. Sakura shook her head but couldn't suppress a smile. Let's just get to it, she said. First things first, when someone's upset or in trouble, the first thing you need to do is empathize with them. You need to understand that they're probably in a bad place. The best way to go about this is to try and find out what's wrong. Try to get them to open up if you can, or stalk them and break into their house in the night, Sasuke said with a bit of fire in his eyes. Sakura scratched her head. That's kind of extreme, she said. Shaking her head, she continued. Observation is key. Understanding how someone's feeling is the best way to getting them to open up to you. And a lesson we all could stand to remember is, if someone isn't willing to tell you what's on their heart, don't pry. Sometimes the best we can do is show someone love, and then stand at a distance until they need us. The person we're trying to help always has the decision of whether they want it or not. You really aren't following any of your own rules, are you? Sasuke said. Sakura grunted. Okay, fine. I'm not a very good teacher. I don't even know how to explain it, she said as her head lowered. I've never been able to teach anyone how to do anything. I feel so hopeless. Naruto's laughing face slowly turned into one of concern as he crawled forward. Hey, that's not true. You're a wonderful teacher. I just think you're trying to be too formal, Naruto said. The lesson doesn't have to be broken down into easy to follow steps. That's the only way I can do it. Naruto shook his head. No, it's not. You've taught me plenty since we met. Remember when you helped me understand math? You were a wonderful teacher there. Why don't you just do what you did there? What did I do there? Sakura asked. Naruto spoke. You drew out tests and asked me to solve the problems with all the tricks you'd already shown me. It wasn't perfect, but I improved enough to pass. Sakura smiled and looked up at him. And it seems that method still works. Naruto was confused, but Sasuke picked up on it quickly. She pretended to feel vulnerable to make you try and help her, and you did. Your instincts are a lot better than you give them credit for, Naruto. I think that the issue is that you try too hard. In a way, you're being like Rock Lee. You're too busy trying to be me, and you forget that you should just be yourself. You know what you need, and because of that, it should be easy to find what Lee needs if you put yourself in his shoes. You just gotta understand how to gauge emotions. That's why empathizing is so important. Understand how someone might feel at any given moment, and then use that knowledge to figure out what your best course of action is. It's super simple. All it asks is for you to open your heart, set yourself aside, and focus entirely on the other with an open mind. If they snap at you, don't get mad back. Be understanding. A lot of people can get aggressive if they're scared, hurt, mistrusting. Anger is a defense mechanism, and a lot of people turn toward it when they feel vulnerable, particularly boys. It's just baked into them. And knowing how volatile emotions can be, including your own, you gotta maintain control, Naruto said as he finished the sentence. Sakura was surprised that he got that. Yes, that was brilliant, Naruto. How did you... I thought about what Sasuke had said yesterday, about fighting, how important emotions are, and their control. But that works for a lot of other things too, not just in combat, but in caring for others. Sakura nodded. Yes, it can be hard sometimes, but maintaining control is the key to helping others. Sometimes when someone's falling apart, they need a rock to grab onto, something strong. And if you can keep control of your emotions, you can help someone else regain control too, and then help them find the root cause. It makes so much sense, Naruto said. Sakura nodded. But the most important thing of all to remember is love. Be genuine in your care for someone else. Don't be afraid to bare your own heart. Try to remain in control, but let them into your heart. Connect on a deeper level emotionally, and you'll be surprised with how easy it is to understand. Sakura pushed her hair from her face. Honestly, it's so hard to explain. It's so hard to teach. And sometimes I feel like I might be one reason why the world is the way it is. I'm not a therapist, so I can't really help others that way, but I can tell you that communication, caring, and control are 3 powerful keys to helping people. But there are so many other factors. Sometimes the best advice I can give is to just go with your own heart. When you're in the moment, you'll know what to do. Naruto nodded. And so they spent a little more time together, doing their homework and even playing a few video games to wind down. And then, after this, Naruto and Sasuke left. As they walked home together, it was kind of silent. Sasuke then spoke. "That Sakura girl sure is something else," he said. "I've never seen anyone so passionate about helping others, making the world a better place. She gives me hope." "Hope?" Naruto asked. Sasuke nodded. "Hope that there still is good in the world. Something unusual, supernatural, against human nature. Something that wants us to understand a hidden meaning to life." Sasuke stopped. "I sound crazy." "No, you don't. I'm starting to feel like you're right. I feel it too. Something beyond the natural desires to be destructive. I feel like I want to create something, build something with others. I want to even make peace with Butch." Sasuke looked over. "I don't know about that. That seems a bit too far," Sasuke said. "Is it?" Naruto asked. "Listening to Sakura, I began to wonder, why is Butch so mean? Have you ever thought about that?" Sasuke shook his head. I guess I never did." As they reached a crossroads, they prepared to part ways. "You've given me something to think about. Anyway, good night." Sasuke then turned and began to walk toward the Uchiha clan compound. Naruto felt it welling up within. "Hey!" Sasuke turned around. "Yeah?" Naruto thought for a second. "Wanna stay over at my place tonight?" "Why?" Sasuke asked. Naruto shrugged. "We're always alone. Neither of us have anyone waiting for us at home. It'll be dark and lonely. Maybe if two people are lonely together, they'll be, I don't know, less lonely?" Sasuke ran that math in his head and decided it made sense. After the fun he had just had with Sakura, he was beginning to think that flooding it out with the depressing, haunting atmosphere of his old childhood home might ruin the mood. "Sure, we can stay over, I guess. Let me grab some clothes and I'll meet you at your place." Naruto smiled. "I'll get the console set up. We're gonna have a blast tonight." The next day, they went to school. Lee was there and even Butch showed up. This time, he showed up with a black eye. His old posse, kinda halfway turning on him, laughed. "What, that Sasuke kid deck you again?" "Shut up," Butch said, pushing the kids back in their seat, commanding authority once again. "For your information, Senjumart didn't put out a wet floor sign. But even with only one good eye, I could still whip both of your asses." As the school day dragged on, the heat of the school furnace kept everything warm. Nonetheless, Naruto could feel that his sinuses were starting to dry out, and with the afternoon calling for snowfall, he knew that this feeling would only persist. But thankfully, the day came to an end. They were all set to go their own way. Each one grabbed a jacket. Sakura spoke. "You two want to come back over tonight for something to eat?" Naruto and Sasuke looked at each other. "No, not tonight," Sasuke said. "Wish we could," Naruto replied, "but we have plans. Well, at least I do." "We'll see you later, Sakura," Sasuke said. The two of them went their own ways, leaving Sakura there alone. Despite that, she wasn't sad. In fact, she smiled as she watched them go. "You boys got this," she said. Naruto stepped outside into the snow. Despite how frigid it was, Lee was still out here by the pole. "No matter if it's rain," he shouted as he kicked the pole. "No matter if it's snow," he shouted as he kicked it again. "No matter if it's heat," kick. "No matter if it's cold," kick. "I will become stronger. No matter what," kick. Naruto watched for a few moments before Lee caught sight of him. He waved. "Oh, hey Naruto." Naruto walked over. "Hi, Rock. I just wondered, do you have a minute to talk?" Lee nodded. "Sure, what's up?" Naruto looked down and took a deep breath, remembering what Sakura had told him. Looking back up, he spoke. "I just wanted to apologize about how I came across at lunch yesterday. It's a good thing you have such determination." Lee smiled and offered a bow. "Thank you, Naruto." Naruto then spoke. "I do wonder though why I only ever see you working out here. I see you doing push-ups, sit-ups, even in the snow, without a jacket no less. But why don't you just melt the snow?" "Melt it?" Lee asked. Naruto nodded. Weaving hand signs, he called out, "Fire style, great fireball jutsu." Releasing a flame from his mouth, he melted a hole in the snow. "Like that. Warm. I mean, it's wet, but snow's like that anyway." Lee seemed to look away. Naruto continued. "I'm sorry. I hope I didn't offend you. I was just curious." Lee shook his head. "It's fine. I just can't do that." Naruto's demeanor seemed to shift to a concerned curiosity, and his voice reflected that. "Why not? I can't use ninjutsu." Naruto's shoulders dropped. He had heard that such a thing was possible. The very idea that Lee was in the academy now seemed ludicrous. But with this new piece of information, Naruto understood the conviction. Naruto understood everything that was Rock Lee. Is that why you train so hard? Lee nodded. Naruto thought about it and then spoke. That's so cool, actually. Lee looked up with confusion. Huh? Naruto began to smile. You train so hard to become a shinobi, even if you can't use ninjutsu. That's awesome. All of the other classmates call me crazy. They say I should just give up. Naruto's smile turned more melancholic, yet it remained on his face as a beacon of hope. Is it crazy? Yeah, but the most inspiring stories and the greatest accomplishments begin with a crazy feat, and one person crazy enough to attempt it. That's what all the best biographies are about. Lee didn't know what to say, so he just looked at Naruto, showing just how much Naruto's words knocked him off kilter. Naruto continued, drawing closer. So you're focusing on your physical strength, your taijutsu. You're going for a strength build, just like in that one game about the ring and the tarnished stuff. That's a smart way to do it. Don't waste level up points on useless stats, but maximize your best traits. Become a sweeper. Except a shinobi must have varied abilities, Lee said. Not exactly. There's Tokubetsu Jonin. Those guys, instead of being jacks of all trades and masters of none, they focus on one or two things and become so proficient in them that nobody can beat them. All you gotta do is find something impressive you can do that shows your dedication and your promise. If you do that, you'll become a great shinobi. Lee began to smile, his eyes lighting up with a certain glint. You really think so? Lee asked. Naruto nodded. Yeah, I do actually, but it's important not to push yourself too hard. If you ruin your body trying too hard, you won't ever be able to become a shinobi. Lee looked down. I know, you want to make progress, and you feel like you're not going anywhere. Lee nodded. You've just hit a wall. It happens to everyone. At points like this, it's best to stop and come up with a new plan. There is a way forward, you just gotta find it. There's a wise saying, work smarter, not harder. What it means is that you can accomplish the same things, or greater things, if you take the time to think about it instead of just pushing yourself. The conservation of strength is another skill shinobi need to know, so instead of just pushing ourselves to death, why don't we go to the library and start looking for books that'll help you figure out how to move forward? Lee, touched by the kindness of a boy who people in town had called Satan, began to wonder how such people could treat him that way, or how he could be so kind in the face of it. It was awe-inspiring, and it made him think. This is the way I want to be when I become a shinobi, Lee said in his heart. Naruto pat his back. Come on, let's go study. At about that time, in the distance, watching, Might Guy smiled. I think I found my genin, he said. Kakashi, standing beside him, smiled as well. I think I found mine as well. Sasuke, on the other hand, was walking the town, following Butch at a distance. He followed Butch to an old residential area. This was pretty much the slums of Konoha, cheap housing for low-income families. But due to that, the Konoha police force seemed to steer clear, as crime rates were higher here. Desperate people, either just trying to live or looking for another fix, were continually robbing businesses. Crime had formed because of the cheap housing, and now the housing was only becoming cheaper due to the location that so many realtors like to mention when helping their clients find properties. Butch stopped and looked down at a piece of paper in his hands before turning up again. Looking to the side, he walked away from the area. Sasuke kept following him. I can't believe I'm doing this, he thought to himself. That Sakura Haruno is rubbing off on me. Following Butch further, he found him in a local park, sitting on a bench, just looking at that piece of paper. From the distance, he used his Sharingan to detect what it was the big bully was reading. It was a report card that looked like it had full Fs across the board. Butch seemed to run his fingers through his hair as he looked at it, letting it drop to the ground. Sasuke began to draw closer. Standing in front of him, he leaned down and lifted the report card up and looked at it, just as he'd thought. Complete flunking. Finally, Butch looked up to see Sasuke standing above him. What do you want? Butch asked. Come to finish the job? Fine by me, my life's over anyway. Sasuke looked at Butch for a moment before looking back down at the report card. Tell me, Butch, who really gave you that black eye? Butch was silent. Sasuke looked up toward the housing development nearby. Let me guess. Your father? Butch sighed, offering a sign that Sasuke was right. A silent moment passed before Butch spoke. He doesn't mean to. Not really anyway. Sasuke simply listened. He's stressed out. He's a disabled veteran. The money Konoha gives him isn't enough to cover housing and his own medical bills. He can't get hired because of his conditions. All of this mixed with his PTSD, he copes by drinking. And since I no longer have a mother to help pull her weight, it falls to me. Sasuke was silent, but in his head, he began to question the Geek Tax's purpose. Of course, I'm just a stupid meathead. Between working so much, I never have enough time to study, so all I ever get is Fs. I've been held back once already. If it happens again, my father'll kill me. He says I'm gonna grow up to be a failure." Sasuke let out a sigh. He was starting to feel very, very bad for almost gouging out the kid's eye with a pencil. "You're stuck," Sasuke said. Butch nodded. "Not that it's any of your business. I'm just at the end of my rope. If he sees this card, he'll kill me. Maybe it's for the best that he does. I don't know how much more I can handle." Sasuke sighed again and sat down on the bench beside him. Sasuke sucked at showing emotion, but he felt that he had to do something, so he tried to speak, even if he didn't want to. "You know, sometimes the people who hurt us the most are the people we love," Sasuke said. "What would you know about it?" Butch said. Sasuke looked down at the card. "I see you got an F in history, so I'll forgive that remark." Butch looked at Sasuke. Sasuke spoke again. "I'm the last living Uchiha. Long story short, my brother killed everyone in my clan save me because I was too weak. Not even worth killing. That's why I hate a bully. Bullies flaunt their strength over the weak because they're too scared to pick on people their own size. And until today, I hated you too." Butch scowled. "I don't want your pity, pretty boy." Sasuke looked over. "I don't care what you want. I'll have pity on who I please and you'll just deal with it." Butch shook his head. "I'd kick your ass if I didn't know you'd kill me." "Some things just can't be solved that way," Sasuke said. "Trust me, I wish they could, but the only way that you can fix some things is with your brain instead of your brawn." "Too bad I don't have a brain," Butch said. Sasuke sighed. Taking out his wallet, he opened it up and pulled out $50. He handed it to Butch. Butch looked at it. "What's this?" Sasuke spoke. "It's a 50. Hopefully it'll be enough to excuse your report card. Consider it interest for the geek tax." Butch took it because he seemed to have no other choice. "I don't know what to do," he said. "My father expects more of me than I can provide." "Your father has his own problems, which aren't your problems. But that being said, you can't keep going like this. Let me ask, is your father an amicable man?" Butch thought. "He's generally a hard man, but he's only abusive when he drinks." Sasuke nodded. "Well, you can't keep going like this. That black eye is a line that should never be crossed. If your father can be reasoned with, you need to tell him the things you're telling me. Explain why you can't study well. Explain that you're trying." "I don't know if he'll go for it." Sasuke shook his head. "You need to be honest. Maybe he understands." "And if he doesn't, what do I do then?" Sasuke honestly wasn't cut out for something like this. What a first case, Sasuke thought within himself. If he doesn't, then I don't know. "Now you get what I'm going through," Butch said. To be honest, Sasuke did know what he would do, but it wasn't something he could tell Butch. Standing up, he pat Butch's back. "Listen, if you need someone to tutor you, try Sakura. She's an egghead. She helped Naruto pass math. If she can turn that dolt smart, then there's no brain too small. Try to work out more time off with your employer, and try your best to explain the situation to your father when he's more open to it. That's the best advice I can give you. And damn it, I hate sounding mushy, but if you ever need anything, give me a call, okay? My house isn't too far, and if you ever need a place to stay, come there. If you don't think your father can handle you, come to me. We'll figure it out together." Butch nodded. Looking at the $50, he spoke. "Thanks." Sasuke looked over his shoulder for a moment. "You're welcome." As he began to walk away, he couldn't help but think about it. He'd been wrong about Butch. Butch was mean for a reason, it seemed. But all the same, Sasuke was learning a hard lesson. Sometimes there were problems you couldn't solve for people. Sometimes the best thing you could do was be there for them when they needed you. Still, Sasuke looked back. He knew that if this didn't work with Butch, and Butch's father continued down this path, there was only one thing he could do, and that was tell the Hokage. The Hokage would likely have to take measures to keep Butch safe from his father. Butch would likely never forgive Sasuke, but it seemed that this was all he could do about it. Sasuke's conscience wouldn't let him turn a blind eye and let Butch be killed by his father. Sasuke had seen many cases like this. An imperfect world where the last bastion of love, the family, was broken apart. Sasuke would not let Butch experience the same thing he himself had experienced with Itachi. But he simply hoped it wouldn't come to that. Butch made it to his own home and opened the door. "Dad, I'm home. I've got something I want to talk to you about." The door closed behind him. "Good luck, Butch," Sasuke said as he made his way home through the snow. "Good luck." And that's where I'm gonna call it. This story is a very special one. It's so real. These are the experiences of everyday people, of everyday school students. This is the reality of the world viewed through the lens of fantasy, and a lot of this stuff is hard for me to even explain. The situation with Butch is tragic, but it's a tragedy many children face every day, and I can't tell you how to fix that. I can't tell you how to act if someone you know is like that, other than being kind, warm, and understanding toward them, and telling someone that you trust what's happening, whether that be a parent or a teacher. It sucks that such things exist in this world, and sometimes the cries for help are subtle, but in the end, they are there, and we just have to be open enough to see them. Frankly, with so much pain in this world, it's hard to look at it and be happy. But after all, that's our calling in this world. This is one of the meanings of life, to love and to be loved, to care for one another. A song I love by the artist Stephen Curtis Chapman wraps it up perfectly in the song Kindness, as he says, "What if we lived with a heart of kindness? What if we loved as we've been loved? If that's all that we're remembered for, well, let that be enough." In so many ways, we see the world and think how much we want to change it. But changing the world is a big order, and it's rare that a single one of us can ever do it alone. But even if we can't change the whole world by ourselves, we can change the world of a single person. And if that continues to be passed on, then eventually, the match struck, the whole world will be set aflame with kindness and love. And in this modern era, I feel like that's what we need the most, you know? I hope you enjoyed the ending of this video series. It's one I've been hoping to make for quite some time, but never got around to. But now that it's finished, I hope that it makes you all very happy and blesses your hearts for years to come. If we, each of us, learn to look past ourselves and see the others in the world, how much happier would this world be? So set your sights as low as you do high, because sometimes the smallest steps make the deepest impressions. But I feel like I'm going on a bit too long, talking about the world, that is, and the one I'd like to see. But anyway, if you truly enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like. Leave a comment down below to tell us what your favorite part was, and if you've yet to subscribe, be sure to do so. If you do, you get the option to ring the bell, which will let YouTube send you notifications when more videos like this drop. And until the next time we meet, check out these other videos. You might enjoy them. Peace out, Amagites. Peace out.